Tell us in your own words what you said.
I said, get the fuck out of my face. Why are you in my face? Why are you recording me? Ain't you supposed to be secure?
Cardi B is facing a $24 million lawsuit, accused of spitting on and clawing a security guard's face while she was 4 months pregnant. But the shocking evidence and witness statements revealed in court could flip this entire case upside down. So did Cardi really attack? Or is this just a $24 million money grab? Let's break it all down. Day 2 of Cardi B's explosive $24 million court battle has unfolded. And the testimony is nothing short of jaw-dropping. What the alleged victim revealed on the stand has raised more questions than answers and could reshape the entire direction of this high-stakes case. Fresh forensic findings and conflicting witness accounts are surfacing, painting a picture that is far messier than anyone anticipated. The supposed victim has been tripping over her own statements, while attorneys trade jabs, some even mocking Cardi for the physical altercation at the center of it all. The drama doesn't stop there. Allegations that Cardi B spit at a security guard and threatened to rip her face off have only added fuel to the fire. With tensions soaring inside the courtroom, this trial is quickly becoming a spectacle where every twist feels bigger than the last.
She's going viral for her testimony, arguing she did not touch a security guard who's suing her for assault allegations. The security guard claims Cardi B cut her face with a fingernail and spat on her. She says it happened outside an obstetrician's office during the rapper's not yet public first pregnancy. Cardi B says she was 4 months pregnant with her first child in 2018, visiting a doctor's office that closed on a Saturday for her privacy, and she says that security guard for the building followed her to her appointment and appeared to be filming her. And Cardi B testified she was worried about her privacy and safety.
Cardi B finally has the chance to tell her side of the story as she returns to a Los Angeles courtroom, where she faces accusations from former security guard Imani Ellis. Ellis alleges that the rapper attacked her during a heated encounter, claiming Cardi slashed her cheek with a 3-inch nail and struck her multiple times across the head and body. Cardi, however, paints a very different picture. According to her testimony, Ellis was following her, filming without consent, and provoking the situation. Cardi insists she never laid a hand on Ellis, emphasizing that she was pregnant at the time and physically incapable of defending herself even if she had wanted to. "She's nearly twice my size," Cardi explained, underscoring how unrealistic the claims against her sound. The alleged incident traces back to February 24, 2018, when Cardi, 4 months pregnant with her first child, visited her OB/GYN in Beverly Hills. Court records state that Ellis began recording videos of her in the clinic's waiting area. Not wanting her pregnancy revealed, Cardi reportedly grew upset. That's when Ellis claims the confrontation spiraled out of control, shouting, attempted punches, spitting, and scratching that left her with facial injuries. Those scratches, Ellis says, were severe enough to require $16,000 worth of plastic surgery. Witnesses, including the OB/GYN and clinic staff, eventually intervened to separate the two women. Months later, Ellis lost her job, a firing she attributes, in part, to Cardi's influence.
Language again, but she said, "Yes, the f you did," and then she put her finger in my face.
When she put her finger in your face, did she have long fingers?
She did.
And approximately how long were her fingernails on the day when she put them in?
About 2 to 3 inches long.
What were the words that she used that were so hurtful?
She used a lot of words, and again, excuse my language, but she was like, you fat ass bitch, that's why I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna get you fired. This, that. That's why you do security. Ah, that's why you do security. Ah, she was sticking her tongue out. She was flailing her arms up and down. She was jumping up and down. Body shaming me. I mean, racial slurs, just a lot.
Did she spit on you?
She did.
Did her spit actually land on your body?
Cardi B has flatly rejected every accusation, insisting that no physical confrontation ever took place. But Imani Ellis continues to push back, with medical experts supporting her version of events. On the stand, Ellis's plastic surgeon testified that she underwent $16,000 worth of procedures to repair facial scars, allegedly caused by Cardi's long nails. Just as the courtroom seemed to settle into testimony, the atmosphere shifted. Within minutes, tensions spiked. and the proceedings began to unravel into heated exchanges.
It didn't hit your body, right?
No.
Did the defendant use her fingernails to cut your face?
She did.
As a result of the cut to your face, did you have to see 2 different plastic surgeons?
Yes,
Did you undergo plastic surgery?
I did.
Aside from calling you the N-word, spitting at you, taking a swing at you, cutting your face with her fingernails, is there anything else that she did on February 24, 2018 to you?
I mean, the whole incident was super traumatizing for me. She did a lot that.
This is where cracks begin to show in Amani's story. Cardi's legal team repeatedly caught her in contradictions, and the more she testified, the more her version of events seemed to shift. In court, she insisted that Cardi scratched her face, but in her earlier deposition, she claimed it was her nose that had been clawed. The inconsistencies didn't stop there. Amani didn't file a report until 2 years after the alleged altercation, a delay that raised serious questions. Even more surprising, she's now linking nearly every misfortune she's faced over the past 7 years back to Cardi herself. At this point, her claims are sounding less like a lawsuit and more like an obsession.
Only scratch that you report is a scratch on your nose that you supposedly suffered that day, correct?
I'm not sure.
You need another moment to look at it?
I reported that she touched my face with her finger, sir.
Ma'am, the question is, in your incident report, you told your supervisor 2 days afterwards that you suffered a scratch on your nose and no other scratches were mentioned, correct?
Okay.
What does okay mean? You agree?
I don't agree with what you're saying, but I'm saying okay for the purposes of your question.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that means, but let's move on. After the incident, you don't even know if there was any blood, right?
It broke the skin.
Please, madam, just answer the question I'm asking. You testified at your deposition that you did not know if the alleged scratch, this time on your cheek, even bled. Isn't that true?
Correct.
And you didn't go to a doctor that day for this alleged assault battery, did you?
I saw a medical doctor, but not at the day of the incident.
Okay, again, let's focus on the questions I'm asking you. You allege that you were assaulted, battered, beaten up, scratched somewhere, sometimes on the nose, sometimes on the cheek, and you went home and took a nap, right?
I was
That's what you
upset.
testified at
Yes.
your deposition.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe called your mother, right? That's what you testified to, right?
Yes.
You didn't call your grandmother, though, did you?
No.
When your counsel was asking you questions today, he said that he basically elicited testimony from you that since you didn't think you were going to sue, you didn't take any pictures of your alleged injury in February 2018. Isn't that what you testified to?
Yes.
At your deposition, though, you testified you took pictures that day, and you can't find them. They disappeared somehow. You remember that?
I'm not sure.
Pain, right hamstring pain. But you had no report, no reference in 161 pages of medical records to a scratch on your face. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And there's no reference in 161 pages of medical records to anxiety, post-traumatic stress syndrome, blows to your head or face. Correct?
Yes.
That only came up when you filed this lawsuit, right?
I'm not sure I know what you're at.
Consider the physical mismatch here. Amani is nearly twice Cardi's size, while Cardi herself was 4 months pregnant at the time of the alleged incident. The very idea that a visibly pregnant woman could somehow overpower and physically attack a professional security guard raises obvious questions about the plausibility of the claims being made. This isn't just a matter of speculation, it goes to the heart of whether Amani's story is even logistically possible. Pregnancy is an incredibly delicate period. By the 4-month mark, many women are already dealing with fatigue, nausea, and physical limitations. Cardi herself testified that she felt weak during that time and could not have defended herself even if she wanted to. From a medical perspective, engaging in a violent scuffle, especially one against someone significantly larger, would have been not only reckless but physically dangerous for her and her unborn child. Doctors frequently advise women at this stage to avoid unnecessary stress, physical strain, and even minor bumps. Yet Amani's narrative expects the jury to believe that Cardi ignored all of that and somehow lashed out in a way that left her allegedly scarred for life. Then there's the matter of size and training. Security guards are, by nature of their profession, hired for their ability to control situations, manage conflicts, and protect others. They undergo training in de-escalation, self-defense, and situational awareness. If Amani, who is physically much larger, had truly been attacked, wouldn't she have been able to restrain Cardi with minimal effort? The notion that a pregnant woman managed to claw, punch, and even spit her way through a confrontation without being stopped stretches the limits of credibility. In fact, it inverts the natural expectation that the trained professional would have been the one in control. This physical mismatch also casts a shadow over Amani's decision not to report the alleged assault until 2 years later. If the attack had been as violent as she described, wouldn't a trained security professional have reported it immediately, both to law enforcement and to her employer? Instead, Amani waited years to come forward, raising suspicions that the claim is less about justice and more about financial gain. The timeline simply doesn't align with how someone in her position would typically react to genuine harm. The jury is being asked to weigh two conflicting realities, one in which a pregnant woman, already under the stress of a medical appointment, suddenly transforms into an aggressor capable of taking down someone twice her size, and another in which a security guard, whose job it is to manage difficult situations, pursued a vulnerable celebrity, recorded her without consent, and later framed herself as the victim. When those scenarios are placed side by side, one begins to look far more believable than the other. Even neutral witnesses have supported Cardi's version of events. Both her doctor and the clinic receptionist testified that they saw no evidence of Cardi physically attacking Amani. In fact, one of them recalled Amani making the first aggressive move. This testimony is crucial because it comes from individuals with no personal stake in the case, people who were simply doing their jobs that day. Their accounts underscore the improbability of Amani's claims and further highlight the imbalance between the story being told in court and the reality of what likely happened. Ultimately, the physical mismatch is more than just a lens through which the entire case can be understood. The logic doesn't add up, the timeline doesn't add up, and the evidence doesn't add up. While Amani continues to insist that she was assaulted, the weight of common sense seems to lean heavily in Cardi's favor. For jurors tasked with sifting fact from fiction, the idea that a 4 months pregnant celebrity somehow overpowered a professional security guard, nearly twice her size, may simply be too far-fetched to believe.
Forward.
Right. And she's, you said she's bigger than you? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
How do you know that?
I mean, look.
I'm looking. I don't agree with that. What is your basis? Are you saying she's physically bigger? She's taller?
I mean, you have her medical records,
I don't
right?
have anything. I'm not asking you the question.
I mean, I was 130 pounds at that time.
So she's overweight, right? In your opinion.
Objection, relevant.
Just a little.
You don't need it.
Okay. Did you make fun of her that she was overweight when you were there in the hallway?
I don't think so.
Did you call her fat?
No, I was calling her a bitch.
Ironically, every medical expert Amani called to the stand, including her own plastic surgeon, ended up reinforcing Cardi's defense rather than her accusations. Photos taken the same week of the alleged incident reveal that Cardi wasn't even wearing the sharp, pointed nails Amani claimed were used to scratch her face. Even more telling, right after the supposed altercation, Cardi calmly walked into her doctor's office and went on with her scheduled appointment. If she had truly just assaulted someone in such a violent manner, would she really have stayed put instead of trying to flee?
And does this picture refresh your recollection about what your hair color was that week?
Yes.
What color was it?
I'll say like a ashy, dirty blonde.
Can you see your nails in that photo?
Yes.
And were you wearing acrylic nails or some other type?
Acrylic.
think you testified yesterday that acrylic nails can last you up to 2 weeks. Is that right?
Yes.
Are those the nails you had the entire time you were in LA?
Yes.
How would you describe those nails looking at them in the photo?
I'll say, to my taste, they're like kind of short. They're square, they boxy. They have like stones, flat rhinestones in the middle. They orangey.
I'm sorry, did you say the flat rhinestones were in the middle?
Yeah.
And how long would you estimate I know you said you feel like they were short, but could you estimate how long you feel like they were?
Like an inch, maybe less. An inch or so.
And what shape are they?
They like coffin square.
Are those the nails you were wearing on the date of the incident?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to move this into evidence.
And then there are the photos Imani herself took after the alleged incident. You'd expect that if she had really been attacked by a world-famous rapper, the evidence would speak for itself. She claimed Cardi clawed her face, leaving lasting scars, but when those images were revealed in court, her story started to crumble. The problem wasn't that the injuries looked minor. It was that there were no injuries at all. Not a mark, not a bruise, not even the faintest scratch visible on her face. The photos directly undercut the very claims her case was built on.
I hope the jurors in Cardi B's trial got their eyes checked. I hope they all have perfect vision. Because in order to assess the evidence of the plaintiff's alleged injuries, they're gonna need it. Plaintiff Imani Ellis was working as a security guard when she claims that Cardi B assaulted her. She says that Cardi B yelled at her, called her terrible names, and scratched her face with her long fingernails. Now, I want to show you the photo of her alleged facial injury, and if you wear glasses like me, you'll want to put them on right now. So let's take a look at this together. The woman's cheek injury that supposedly required over $17,000 worth of plastic surgery to fix. Do you see this? The only thing that I see when I look at this photo is why Cardi B went to trial. Good for her. You know, my friends, she is wealthy and she could have made this go away if she wanted to, but she didn't settle. And when looking at this exhibit,
when Imani's plastic surgeon took the stand, he attempted to back up her claims about scarring. But context matters, he's being paid $2,000 an hour for his testimony. Instead of sounding like a neutral medical expert, his words came across more like a performance tailored to the side cutting the checks. Under cross-examination, his confidence began to crack. The defense pointed out that the only treatment Imani had ever received was microneedling, a routine cosmetic procedure, not reconstructive surgery for severe injuries. Too many watching, it looked less like proof of an assault and more like a coordinated payday for both Imani and her doctor.
Finger being longest, it grips the skin first, so it's the highest. The central scar is the highest. And the fact that they're parallel is highly suggestive of a fingernail injury.
Is that to a degree of medical certainty?
Yes.
And what does it mean for the jury, if you could explain, what does medical certainty mean when an expert makes that type of
51% or more. It's the most likely explanation. There are other explanations, but this is the most likely explanation.
And in order to formulate your opinion, you reviewed medical records, correct?
Well, I did. That wasn't as important as the physical.
No, of course, I was going to go through a laundry list of what we did, but why don't you just tell me, what did you do to formulate your expert opinion?
The number one thing I did was examine.
On the stand, Imani's plastic surgeon pointed to supposed scars on her face, describing subtle changes in skin texture, uneven pores, and faint lines that he claimed were the result of an attack. But when the unedited photos from court documents were presented, the narrative fell apart. The marks he identified looked far more like acne scars than fresh injuries. And side-by-side comparisons revealed they matched blemishes Imani had long before the alleged assault. The shift in the courtroom was immediate. Her own evidence seemed to work against her. The defense seized on this, highlighting how the injuries looked identical to old skin issues rather than fingernail scratches. Even Cardi's critics couldn't help but question the story. To make matters worse, Amani had been in 2 car accidents prior to visiting this surgeon, raising further doubts about the true source of her marks. Another surgeon she consulted years earlier who told her scars would need time to form before treatment has since passed away, leaving more gaps in her narrative. Meanwhile, Amani's claim that the incident left her with lasting psychological trauma also unraveled. She testified about post-traumatic stress disorder, but her own psychologist directly contradicted her. He told the court that her statements were inconsistent. Her test results did not match PTSD, and in his professional opinion, she was lying in an effort to secure a payout. His testimony silenced the courtroom, cutting straight to the heart of the case: credibility.
Very low level, you wouldn't be able to maintain reasonable family relationships, you wouldn't be able to hold a job, you wouldn't be able to function in major life activities, and again, you would require psychiatric hospitalization and antipsychotic medication.
Did you diagnose Ms. Ellis with any psychiatric conditions?
No, again, since I equate, for a case like this, emotional injury with have you developed one or more psychiatric disorders as a result of your allegations of the incident with Cardi B. I have no diagnoses for her because she has sustained no emotional injury. Again, in accordance with the published, generally accepted guidelines of the American Psychiatric Association in our diagnostic manual, whenever there is a psychiatrist or psychologist is doing an evaluation in a legal context where financial gain or some other type of secondary gain is at stake, you always have to consider and rule out the risk of intentional manipulation for financial gain. And in that context, in this case, Ms. Ellis has demonstrated a significant pattern of inconsistencies and other symptom validity issues. For example, in my audio-recorded examination, again, this is an audio-recorded record, she told me, with the exception of a couple sessions of family therapy when she was 12 because her sister had been sexually assaulted by a neighbor, she could not recall a single trauma in her entire life growing up. Couldn't remember a single one in response to my detailed questioning. Whereas, for example, in her deposition, she reported that she was a victim growing up of domestic violence in the home, gang violence, other violence. Schoolmates were shot and killed. She was physically mugged in high school. Her car was broken into several times. None of those were reported to me. So those represent an important mismatch in a legal case where an individual potentially tries to make everything about the incident that can be compensable in a lawsuit. Another example along the same lines is in my audio recorded exam, she told me that all of her emotional problems from the day of the incident, in this case, February 2018 to present, have been entirely due to what happened with Cardi B and absolutely nothing else. And she couldn't identify any other stressors in recent years.
The internet lit up after this round of testimony, with many siding firmly with Cardi. One commenter summed up the sentiment: Cardi isn't lying. She was just going to a doctor's appointment when someone started secretly recording her. That's harassment, plain and simple. Fans pointed out that Amani blatantly ignored Cardi's requests to stop filming, crossing a clear boundary. For many, that alone revealed where the real violation occurred. What was meant to be a private and meaningful day for Cardi quickly spiraled into chaos because her privacy was disrespected. The narrative, critics argue, has been twisted. Amani has painted Cardi as the aggressor, but the evidence tells a different story. Multiple witnesses testified that it was Amani who pushed the limits and escalated the situation, while Cardi was simply trying to protect herself and her peace.
I feel like my privacy was completely being violated. I wouldn't want to be anything that has to do with my medical records or anything. Even if I do cosmetic surgery, I don't want people to be in anything that has to do with medical in your business. It's just especially something that is so sacred as your pregnancy is yours. Angry.
How angry were you?
Depends on the level of angry, to be
Right.
honest with you.
Let's talk about the levels.
I don't think I was like on a high level of angry. I was more on a high level of concern.
Two neutral voices in the courtroom may have delivered the most damaging blows yet to Imani's case. Cardi B's personal doctor and the hospital receptionist who stepped in during the altercation both testified that they never saw Cardi lay a hand on Imani. In a trial where credibility is the deciding factor, testimony like this isn't just important, it's pivotal. Neither witness had anything to gain or lose by siding with Cardi, which only strengthens the authenticity of their accounts. The doctor's testimony carried particular weight. He explained that Cardi was there for a prenatal appointment and appeared calm and focused on her health that day. If she had truly been involved in a violent altercation minutes before stepping into the examination room, he argued, there would have been signs of emotional distress, physical agitation, or at the very least, visible disruption in her demeanor. Instead, he described her as composed, though understandably frustrated by the intrusion on her privacy. His medical authority underscored the implausibility of Imani's story, framing Cardi as a patient who wanted peace, not confrontation. Then came the testimony of Tiara Malcolm, the receptionist who was stationed at the front desk when the alleged incident occurred. Her role in the trial cannot be overstated. She was one of the few people who actually witnessed the exchange firsthand. Malcolm told the court that she never saw Cardi attack Imani. Instead, she recalled Imani being the one who escalated the situation, even attempting to strike Cardi first. That revelation flipped the script entirely. Suddenly, the image of Cardi as the aggressor dissolved, replaced by the possibility that she was, in fact, the target of unprovoked hostility. The courtroom's reaction was telling. When Malcolm stated plainly that Imani threw the first move, murmurs rippled through the audience. Jurors leaned in, visibly engaged. This wasn't a lawyer spinning an argument or a fan defending their idol. This was a neutral professional recounting what she personally saw. And her words carried the ring of truth. From a legal standpoint, neutral witnesses are invaluable, unlike expert witnesses, who are often paid for their time and opinions, or the parties themselves, who have clear stakes in the outcome. Neutral witnesses stand apart. Their only role is to report what they observed. For the jury, that independence often makes their accounts more trustworthy. When both the doctor and the receptionist aligned in their testimonies, it created a consistency that is hard to dismiss. This also raises uncomfortable questions for Amani's legal team. If her version of events directly contradicts what unbiased observers described, where does that leave her credibility? Every trial hinges not just on evidence, but on who the jury believes. And right now, Imani's story appears increasingly fragile. It isn't just a matter of photographs that don't show injuries or doctors whose testimony falters under cross-examination. It's that independent voices are stepping forward and saying they saw something entirely different from what she claims. For Cardi, this testimony was a turning point. Her defense has argued all along that she was the one being harassed, recorded against her will while pregnant and vulnerable. Now, with witnesses backing her up, that narrative is gaining undeniable traction. Cardi's calm composure in court only reinforced this image. A woman confident in the truth of her version of events, supported not by flashy arguments but by the steady voices of people with no agenda. In contrast, Imani's case is beginning to look less like a pursuit of justice and more like a collapsing house of cards. Every time her lawyers attempt to strengthen her claims, new cracks emerge. And when neutral witnesses say they saw her lashing out at Cardi instead of being attacked, it becomes difficult to see how her story will hold up under scrutiny. At this point, the trial has become less about what Imani says happened and more about whether anyone believes her anymore. The doctor and receptionist didn't just provide testimony. They gave the jury a lens through which to view the entire case. And from that perspective, Imani's accusations are no longer just weak, they're unraveling.
You are a licensed gynecologist in the state of California since 2007?
Yes.
And in your field, your specialty deals with below the waist, correct?
Yes.
What is the reason you would think to look at Imani Ellis's face when you have two people that are yelling at each other with someone in between? Was there a reason that you were specifically at that time looking at Imani Ellis's face to tell us whether there was a scar, a cut, or anything to her face?
When at that moment she was closer to the elevator, there probably was about 3-4 feet between the two. and I got between her and them, and the elevator was directly behind her. So I was making direct eye contact to try to be as assertive as I could.
Okay. Isn't it true that you don't remember what you ate a week ago? Fair?
Objection, no.
There was definitely first words, yes, on her end.
When you were there, did Miss Ellis attempt to strike Cardi B?
Even Amani's own attorney seemed to unravel under pressure. He grew so combative with Cardi during questioning that the judge had to step in repeatedly, instructing him to lower his voice and adjust his tone. The constant warnings only added to the sense that Amani's legal team was flailing, resorting to aggression rather than presenting convincing evidence. Cardi, meanwhile, stayed composed throughout the exchange, answering calmly as if she knew the truth was on her side. Her steady demeanor stood in stark contrast to the hostility across the aisle, making the imbalance in the courtroom even more apparent. The real question now is whether the jury will cut through the noise and recognize the inconsistencies, or if Amani's attorneys can spin the chaos back in her favor before the clock runs out. One thing is certain: this trial is nowhere near its finish line, and the cracks in the story are only becoming more difficult to hide. If Day 2 brought this much drama, the coming sessions promise even bigger twists. Stay tuned, the mess is just beginning.